Hey, welcome back to Let's Animate. It's 30 seconds of Star Wars The Force Awakens. A joke 3 years in the making, and all we've got is J.J. Abrams and a series of green and purple balls. Of course, that's not all we've got. We've got our cart. We worked on zooming this in earlier. Haven't had to remove our animations, but got everything kind of fit on there fairly nicely to help bring humor to our joke. We've also got our Mickey Mouse reveal. We took out the clapping, is that right? Why did we take out the clapping? Uh-oh. Oh yeah, no, we got everything in there. We just took out the animations. I think I was fiddling around with this off camera, that's why. To get turn it from a slow clap into a full-on round of applause, and I think I ended up deleting and thinking, well, we're going to start over anyway, depending on the clap sound that I end up recording. We were focused last time on getting these yes men kind of in place. I found some source material, but I was also getting ahead of myself here, and I was thinking, because I was concerned about how to open this, right? This video, and to just start in a boardroom might be, it's relying very heavily that you know that that's J.J. Abrams, director, producer, whatever, and it might be a bit much to ask your brain to kind of fill in. So I was thinking of starting with something like this. We do a Walt Disney Co. thing, showing, implying we're in Walt Disney headquarters. And then maybe we do a little zoom in here. I don't know, a couple of seconds. We zoom in on like a window or something, right? And then as it zooms, it kind of fades. And see, I don't know why it does that. It looks like it kind of loops around, right? Instead of just zooming right in up here, it kind of loops, goes around. I don't know why it does that. I'm not sure. It could probably easily be corrected, but I would just leave it. It's probably gonna be fine. And then at least this way, now we've set the scene. We're in Walt Disney HQ. I'll flash up 6 years ago kind of thing, like 2015 or somewhere. I'll find out where HQ actually is, in California, presumably. California 2015 or 2014. Probably go 2000, whatever. Find out when they announced. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll find out when they announced. This will be my homework. When did they announce The Force Awakens? Whatever year that was, that'll be the year we put here. Where is Disney HQ? That'll be the state or whatever that I put here. So, boom, California 2015. And then we zoom in, and then it fades, kind of dissolves into this. And we see Abrams here and the Yes Men. And I think that'll be enough to show what is going on. It should be good. And we'll only be here for a couple of seconds. It's just got to be some kind of a confusion thing happening. Something's got to register on Abrams' face. I don't know if he's going to release one arm and do like the finger in the air like he's got an idea, ding, like there's a light bulb going off or something. I don't know. Maybe something like that will happen. Otherwise, we'll just have confused murmurings. Like I said before, I think some slamming on the table. Tensions are running high. We cut to the cart. We'll have an arm come across, slap on a piece of tracing paper, and we'll watch this pencil just kind of trace around all these letters. We won't do the whole thing, obviously, but enough to get the idea. And we'll cut back to here. He'll throw the paper on the table. Everyone will look confused, uncertain, whistling, coughing, looking up in awkward directions. Cut to Mickey. He's looking perturbed for a bit. Then he starts a slow clap. And I think I have decided then we cut back to here. Everyone's rejoicing. I mean, they're throwing papers in the air. They're laughing, and we sort of zoom in here on Abrams, and very slowly, and right on his face, and his big old mug here. And this is where we'll get the I don't really care about the we'll put Star Wars on here, about the hair anymore. It's gonna look ridiculous. That's fine. I'm gonna render this. Yeah, you can clearly see it's like ridiculously looking spaghetti. Whatever. We'll have the Easter eggs in the back. I'm gonna come up with a better one for this one, I think. I might, instead of story ideas, it might be like major plot points, or you know, groundbreaking plots, and then lay a new haircut, and Chewie has pups, and something else. I don't know what we'll do for Luke. Yeah, and that's what it's gonna, and that's how it's gonna close. It's gonna just zoom in on him, ding, give him a little sparkle in the teeth or something, and then just to be the punchline, just put the nail in the coffin there. That's the end of the joke. I don't even have an intro for this series. This literally was all I had for TASO. 30 animated seconds of was the cart in his head. I think when we started, when you think about it, we started with just the cart with his head and this cart. No Star Wars even. No, I had the source material, but there was nothing here. And then all of Mickey happened on camera. So I mean, this has come a long way for me in a short amount of time. So we're going to be looking at finishing this fairly soon, especially for the camera perspective, because I'm going to do a bunch of this off camera. We'll check in. We'll go over some of the animations once, there's probably going to be audio in place. There's going to be some major differences happening, which is kind of going to be a problem because you're not going to see the whole process, but that's still a ways in the future anyway. Let's start with some of our yes men here. I'm going to pull up the source material. For this particular guy, I think I had envisioned this guy. Oh, what has happened here? Oh, I opened instead of putting in a layer. I think I had envisioned this guy. Just about did it again. There he is. Yep. Edit, undo, there. Just this layer. Can I get just this layer, please? Oh, it's because I'm on the flipping camera. I don't want that anymore. Okay, yes man, layer, not camera. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to plop him in here. There's his head. There's his entire being. Just right around there. We might end up squashing him down a bit. Just start with his torso and face. That should be good enough. This guy who was this guy? 4, 3, 2. Literally the last one. Okay, so he's yes man 1, so that's a good place to start. Do this, we do this, and then we're off to the races. So I don't really even have any topics of conversation for today, so it really flying by the seat of my pants, even more so than I have been in the past, if you can believe it. Not a lot to talk about. Exhausted the weather topics. I don't really want to talk about afternoon gaming and stuff because I found myself in a video talking about playing Spelunky in my animation videos, and then I found myself in Spelunky talking about the animation videos. So I'm going to try to keep them a little more segregated, but I was just playing a new game, and which probably will go up. Well, it will go up long before this video is ever up. So it would be kind of stupid to be talking about it now. And it would clearly just be for the sake of like filling air, filling the silence. And I'm comfortable enough with silence that I don't necessarily need it filled all the time. One thing I will talk about that I've already talked about, but I don't mind repeating for just a minute, is those Joe Rogan podcasts, man. I'm telling you, they're pretty quality stuff. I was pleasantly surprised, and continue to be as I continue to exist in that wormhole, or following that rabbit hole, I should say. Not really a wormhole. And just sort of traversing those strange topics that they cover, and it's interesting stuff. I've been enjoying it a great deal. I look forward to it a lot. It's the one thing that has kind of made me ever say since I started this, I don't want to animate just yet. Otherwise, or record at all. Otherwise, I'm all over it. I can't stop. I'm building up such a backlog of videos, which is fine. I mean, it's not going to bother anybody. There's nobody out there, but I'm building up such a backlog of videos that because I'm animating so much and recording it. And even when I took a break from recording animation to do some other animation not long ago, I still find myself with a whole whack of videos done and ready to go, which is good. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to keep doing that, and instead of stopping myself, which I have done, and I get kind of like, if I stop myself, I get kind of off topic with this project, with the Force Awakens parody here, and I don't want that. I think it'll be better. It's better, more beneficial for me to plow through, create this huge backlog, and then rather than step away from the project until the backlog catches up, because I can sit down and do a week's worth of video in like 2 sessions. Well, if I want a third, I'm gonna probably bump it up and do the third so that I get through the project faster, because I'm on the other project that I was working on behind the scenes. I'm like, I'd love to be recording this as well, but I don't want 2 things going on, and how am I going to space all this? And if I could just sit and get through this old joke here and then move on to something new, I'm going to be better for it in the long run. So that'll be my goal going forward. My goal going forward is definitely going to be to focus on getting this project done and recording it as I go. At least until, like I said, I get to that point where I put this as head. This is not head, this is hair, but whatever. This will be actual head. This will now be called hair. At least till I get to the point where I'm starting doing audio and stuff, and that'll be off camera, and then you'll see the project much more close to its. It'll just be all of a sudden the project will be almost done. So there'll be a kind of a gap in terms of logical progression of the videos, which is just gonna have to be fine. But yeah, so this whole recording test that I did for myself is already paying off, because even unrecorded animations I just can't get enough of right now. It also helps that, personal life is moving a lot slower in the days, so this is the time to do it. It's only going to pick up from here in terms of personal stuff and work stuff. It just gets busier from here for me. So now's the time to get in the habit, or else I'm going to fall behind the 8 ball again. And I really don't think that that's going to happen this time. There were times before when I could kind of tell, and that's because I wasn't animating or recording anything in between. I was doing all these animations, all this work that just wasn't being documented, and even since this stuff really is just for myself right now, just to be able to go back through the old videos briefly, seeing the history on the channel of the videos going up is a huge confidence boost. Like, it's amazing how much that actually helps my own psyche. So you did this, you did it. You created this stuff in the pursuit of creating something else that you've had as an idea, brewing in your head for a long time. And it was worth getting out, and it's getting out now, and that's good. And continuing with that feeling over the next few weeks and months is going to be easier and easier, I think, so that as the personal life, as the work life becomes more complex, I think it'll be easier to continue with the recordings despite all that. First thing I'm going to change, I'm telling you, at 100 subs, I I'm getting a new microphone set up because I've literally got a decent quality mic here, but I've got it wrapped up in like a face cloth type thing. I don't know. I just assumed one day I tried it, assumed it would help cut the noise, and it has. I've got a stove going right next to me with this fan blowing, and you can't hear it in the audio. It does make my voice sound a little bit more muffled, especially in videos where there is gaming noise in the background. But in these videos, it's nice and clear. And so that mic is wrapped in the face cloth, and the whole thing is propped up on an empty flashlight box. You can believe me or not. Maybe one day I'll take a shot of this and you can see. And so it's not quite the right height for my... these guys aren't going to be moving too much, so I can just do very simple blob type shapes. But yeah, it's the mic ends up sitting. It's a lot better than it was, but it still ends up sitting at not quite the right height. So I'm kind of hunched over, and it starts to catch up with my neck just a little bit, and I'll either just end up kind of in pain after a while of recording. It goes away eventually. I'm not that old and decrepit, but so I'll either end up with the pain, or I will, if I'm not paying attention enough, I will try to correct it myself and start to pull away from the mic to assume a more upright posture, right? And that ends up making the voice a little more muffled, a little bit more difficult to hear. Again, I mean, like I always say, I'm not an animator, I'm not an artist, I'm also not an audio guy. I'm not a lot of things, and I'm gonna have to fix that to some degree eventually. I'm gonna have to step up my game and learn a little bit about how audio works and how to make nice, clear audio, because that really makes a huge difference in videos. Like, that's a huge problem when people can't get their audio sorted out. It just makes it unpleasant to listen to, and the whole point of this, I don't have a lot to offer. One of the things I'm trying to pretend to offer is decent commentary that you can listen to and enjoy. And if you can't hear it, if you can't understand it, if it's all muffled, that's a problem. So I'm gonna have to step up my game as I continue with this. But just getting a new microphone setup, I think, would go a long way. Because when I'm in the proper position relative to the mic, I think everything sounds fine. It's only when I start to pull back, like I said, I get a little sore. It's only then that I start to notice a noticeable dip in quality. But we'll see. We shall see how things progress. They are progressing in this quite adequately in terms of our Yes Man preparation. I like every once in a while just doing these very mindless sort of steps, because they have to get done, right? We've got to make these characters. So as we copy from our reference material here, it's a little bit easier to just chat and not get bogged down by strictly step-by-step discussions, right? Step by Step was a sitcom, was it not? Step by Step, was that just a Canadian? No, it couldn't have been a Canadian thing, because I think it was on like a TGIF, right? The old Full House. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on TGIF. I'm questioning myself. I had a strange relationship with TGIF because I would see it quite often. It was obviously, it was thank God it's Friday, or thank goodness it's Friday branding from the early 90s, I guess. Early 90s. We're going to be like ethnically sensitive here. Can we give a guy a little bit of color with orange hair? Is that okay? Am I allowed to do that? That's all right. Does that matter? I have no idea. Ugh, he looks awful there. This will just be a placeholder for now. It kind of blends in a little bit too much with the back wall. These are just holding patterns here. Why do we not have any of his facial features? They put his hair in the back. Doy. But yeah, TGIF was. I always. Fridays I left home and would go to my dad's place for the weekend from a very young, as long as I can remember. And so Fridays, TGIF would come on. We'd usually just be getting home, like just be getting to my dad's place around supper time, have supper. You know, when it's winter, it's already dark by then, and then TGIF would be on. So I watched it fairly consistently, but I don't remember very much. Full House is about the only thing I could say with 100% certainty was on TGIF, and I would watch that quite constantly. And because we got there so late, it was dark, not much else to do. Have supper, and then it would be TGIF time, and then and so I started that relationship with TV and with predictable sort of and waiting for eagerly awaiting predictable sort of TV viewing patterns, right? That became just part of who I am. Not that I was lazy and sitting in front of TV all the time. It just became part of my routine, was to watch these shows. And the problem was, as I got older, that just continued. And so I can remember when The Simpsons were huge in repeats, and I'd come home after school, do a little homework, maybe not do a little homework, and then sit down and watch The Simpsons at 5, because that's what was on at 5. And then you start that, and then it becomes sort of my go-to kind of habit that I was used to before, and it becomes a habit. So it became the same thing with Seinfeld. It became the same thing with a lot of these repeats that really, right, who cares, right? Who needs to watch for the umpteenth time an old episode of The Simpsons or of Seinfeld or whatever was the flavor of the day. Those were the two big ones for me anyway, that I can remember. But I'm sure I think it was probably pretty common for a lot of people. I don't think I'm that much of an outlier. It's just the way it was. Just my experience, right? Like my particular example, but I'm sure a lot of people had similar experiences, is what I'm trying to say. I don't even know why I'm talking about this now. It's not relevant at all. Seems like every episode ends up devolving into discussion about TV viewing, and I guess it's kind of to be expected when one of the things I'm working on here is is like it's media related, right? It's pop culture related. It's parodying a movie like this is you're gonna get on those kind of lines of thought, those trains of thought, right? They're gonna pop up because it's kind of the subject matter that you're dealing with. Anyway, I think we're gonna call it here. We got a good start on this Yes Man. I don't know what we're gonna do. The eyes are a little off. We're gonna fix all that. We'll pull them out. We'll give him a nose. He'll start to have a life. Yeah, we're not gonna copy this too rigidly now. It was, again, more to get the position, more to get the orientation, fill that space. He's gonna have to be enlarged a little bit. See, I don't understand why it centers around there. I want you to be centered over him somewhere. And by just throwing my own on there at random, is that changing anything? Is that causing problems? I don't know. I'm not an animator. Maybe someday. Until then, thanks very much. See you soon.